We learn tonight the Chok Yisrael for Parshas Pkudei, Yom Shlishi, day 3, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Continuing the accounting of the copper, Ve'es Adnei HaChotzer, they used the copper for the sockets in the courtyard, Saviv, roundabout the courtyard. Ve'es Adnei Shara Chotzer, and the sockets for the gate of the courtyard. Ve'es Kol Yistois HaMishkan, and for all the stakes or the pegs of the Mishkan. Ve'es Kol Yistois HaChotzer, Saviv, and all the stakes or the pegs used roundabout. V'yas Samchei Darta, Schor Schor, V'yas Samchei Tra Darta, V'yas Kol Sikei Mashkina, V'yas Kol Sikei Darta, Schor Schor. Umenat Cheles Vargaman, and from the bluish green and the purple, the Solas Hashani and the scarlet, this is all wool dyed bluish green and purple and scarlet. Also Pkudei Srud. Now remember, Rashi explained the Pkudei Srud are the containers that they put the holy kalim in when they transported them, l'sharis b'kodesh, to minister in the kodesh, v'yasu es Pkudei HaKodesh, and then they made the holy vestments, asher la'aron, kasher tziva Hashem es Moshe, like Hashem commanded Moshe. So, tichla v'argevana utzva zahori avadu levushe shimusha l'shamsha b'kutcha v'avadu yas levushe kutcha de la'aron kavod the packet adino yas Moshe. Rashi says over here that it's notably missing. It says the bluish green, the purple, the scarlet. It doesn't say sheish. It doesn't say linen. It doesn't say linen. And from this I extrapolate and deduce, says the holy Rashi, she'ein Pkudei Asrad halalu Pkudei Kuna. Pkudei Asrad, which could be talking about ministering clothing, does not mean the priestly vestments, because Pkudei Kuna hayashesh, because in the priestly vestments there was linen. Elaheim begodim shemechasim b'hem klei hektish. It's the fabric that they covered with them the holy vessels, b'shas silak masais, when they removed them and dismantled the Mishkan to travel, shaloi haya b'hem sheish, and in those containers there was no limit. Now, vayas eso ephod, they made the apron, zov, out of gold, tcheles, the bluish green, vargaman, the purple, v'solashani, the crimson, v'sheish masjar, and the spun linen. V'avad yasefod dava tichla v'agavana utzva zahore uvutz shazir. Now, what does it mean, gold? What does it mean? I mean, gold is not a fabric that is normally threads. What does it mean that they insert gold in the ephod, in the apron? So the pasuk explains, "Vayiraku es pachei azav," they flattened sheets of gold, v'kites pesilim, and they cut strips, la'asois b'seich atchels, they cut very thin strips, so they were like thread, and they were injected into the blue thread, u'b'seich ha'agaman, in the purple, u'b'seich talas hashani, in the scarlet, u'b'seich hasheish, and in the linen, ma'aseh choshev, the work of a craftsman. V'radidu yastase dedava v'katzitzu chutin l'mevad b'gav tichla, b'go tichla, b'go agavano, b'go tzva zahori, or b'go butza ovad uman. Says Rashi, what does vayiraku mean? K'moy l'roi karetz, we say a bracha in the morning, roka ha'oretz alamoyim, that Hashem flattens the land over the waters so that we have dry land. Targumo v'radidu, to flatten. Tasin, sheets, hoyumeradidin min azav, they would flatten from the gold. Tasin dakais, they would flatten it very thin. Hanu malametka, here the pasuk is explaining to you, teaching you, Heicho yetovin es hazav imachutin. How did they spin the gold together with the threads? Meradidin tasin dakin, they would flatten sheets very thin. V'koitzitzin mehem psilin la'orechatas, and they would cut from it like very thin threads of gold to the length of the whole sheet. Some psilim mu'uravim, to make them threads mixed in kol min umin, from each of the different materials, b'chayshin ve'ephod, in the workmanship in the breastplate and in the apron. Shnema behem zav. Chut echad shel zav, one of these threads of zav, im shisha chutan shel tcheles, with the 6 threads of the bluish green, because each one was spun from 6 threads. V'cheinim kol minumin, and likewise from each of the species, from the agaman and the talashani and the sheish. Shekol aminim, because each type, chutin kafel shisha, contained 6 threads spun, and added to it was a 7th of gold. V'azav chut shvi, a 7th one, im kol echad ve'echad, from each type of material. Kseifais asu loy chayvrais, they attached the shoulder pieces of the apron al shnei kitzaisav, on either end. Chubar, they weren't made out of one piece, but they were attached to the apron afterwards. Kaspin avlulei malafafin al train sitroe malafef. And now we continue with the building of the temple of Shlomo. Vasipos v'amazamros, Rashi says that these are both musical instruments. The sipos and the mezamros were musical instruments. V'amizrikos, the bowls. V'akapos, the spoons. V'amachtos, and the shovels. Zov sagar, were from the finest gold. V'apoises, also the keys. L'dalsei sabayas apnimi l'kodesh hakadashim, for the doorway, the inner doorway to the Holy of Holies, and l'dalsei abayas lahechol, and for the opening in the kodesh, zahav, were made out of gold. Vatishlam kol ha'malacha asher asa melech Shlomo, and was completed all the work which King Shlomo made for the Beis Hashem. Vayovei Shlomo, and then Shlomo brought as kachei David aviv, that which was remaining from the holy articles of David his father, as a kesef, as a zav, the silver and the gold, as a kelim, utensils, nasan ba'otzreis Beis Hashem, he put them in the storage places of the house of Hashem. Oz Yaakov Shlomo Ziknei Yisrael, then Shlomo HaMelech gathered the elders of Yisrael, as Kol Roshi Hamatas, the heads of the tribe, Nesiah Avos, the princes of the fathers' houses of Bnei Yisrael, El HaMelech Shlomo gathered them, the king Shlomo Yerushalayim, Lahalo, says Aaron, to bring the Aron with great pomp and ceremony. Lahaloi, says Aron Bris Hashem, the ark of the covenant of Hashem. Me'ir David he Tzion, from the land of David, which was Tzion, the city of David, to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. V'yikolu el HaMelech Shlomo, and they gathered to King Shlomo, Kol Ish Yisrael, to give great honor, all men of Yisrael. B'yerach ha'esanim, the month where the ancients called the first month, because they used to call Tishrei the first month of the year, Bechag on Sukkot, Hu HaChodesh HaShvi, after the Torah was given, and Nisan was declared the first month, so then Tishrei is the 7th month. Vayavo Kol Ziknei Yisrael, all the elders of Yisrael came, Vayisu HaKohanim es Aron, and the Kohanim carried the Aron. Tiferes, now Shlomo HaMelech says in his Chokhmah, Tiferes Bachurim Koicham, the splendor of youth is their strength and vitality, that they have the vitality, the dynamism to do the mitzvahs with zrizas. V'adar Zekanim, and the glory of the elderly is seva, is their white hair, their hoary old age, which speaks for experience of life. That's why it says, Mipnei Seva Tokim. We get up for an elderly person. as the Gemara says, even an elderly guy, because kamo harpatke odwalai, many life experiences passed over them, and it's a glory that they have experiences, and if they're smart, they learn from their mistake, and they can teach the youth that they shouldn't make the same mistakes. Chaburais and petza, bruises and wounds, tamruk bara, is showered upon people that do evil. Ubakais chadrei vaten, and people who have sinful plans and thoughts, they get smitings, they get flogged in their inner body. This refers to sicknesses like dropsy, which is a sickness of the inner body. Palgei mayim leiv melech, like tributaries of water, like streams of water, is the heart of a king. In other words, a king could go, farmer could direct the streams of water and divert it to any way that he wants. So even though, like streams of water, the king, he thinks that he could do whatever he wants. But we know, Leiv Malachim Misarim B'yad Hashem. It's B'yad Hashem. It's all in the hands of Hashem. Al Kolash Yachbo Yitziatenu. Hashem is the great puppeteer in heaven, and Hashem will wield the decisions of the king in the way that he decides. That's why it's such a waste of time. People talk politics all day long. It's such a waste of time. The Rabbi Shalom, he will decide in which direction he wants them to go. Kol derech ish yasher be'einav. A person, what he does is upright in his eyes, because there's a human flaw that ein adam roya nigei atzmai. A person doesn't see his own faults. So the way of a man looks to be upright in his eyes, even though maybe he's really very stingy, maybe he's really very selfish or self-centered. So he thinks that he's going right. But v'toichen liba is Hashem. Hashem looks into the heart of man and sees what's motivating him. Is it kindness? What's motivating him? Is it kindness? Is it pleasure? Asot tzedakah umishpat, the doing of charity and justice, nifchar Hashem, is more precious to Hashem mizavach, than sacrifices. Now we learn the seventh parak of Ksuvas. Hamaderes ishtay melahoneslay. If a man imposes upon his wife a vow that she shouldn't benefit from him. Now, he can't impose a vow that he won't have intimacy with her, because the Torah mandates that sheira ksusa v'nasa lo yigra, and therefore the same thing is sheira is food, so he wouldn't be able to impose that on her either. But what he does is he makes a vow and he appoints a middleman to bring her the stuff. So she's not benefiting directly from him. So he could get away with this arrangement at Shloshim Yom for 30 days, Yamad Parnas. He could appoint a clandestine middleman. Yes, McCain, but to continue this arrangement for more than a month, then she could say she doesn't want it. Because people will find out about it, that he's not having direct contact with her, and it will be a big disgrace for her. So then Yotze has to divorce her, he has to give her a marriage settlement, because it's his fault. Now Rabbi Yehuda says, by a kohen, we give a little bit of a grace period. Because a kohen, if he divorces her, can never marry her back. So Rabbi Yehuda Aimer b'Yisrael chodesh echad yekayim, 1 month they could go with this arrangement. Ushnayim, but the first day of the second month, Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. U'bakahenes, but if he's a kohen, so that if he divorces her, he can't take her back, Shnayim Yekayim, we are a little bit more tolerant, we wait 2 months, but a shloisha, the first day of the third month, Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. He gives her a get and a marriage settlement. If he imposes a vow that his wife shouldn't taste grapes or apples. Remember, they didn't have such a varied diet. The fruit was a very big part of their diet. Now, the Rishonim explain that he can't impose a vow that she shouldn't eat fruit, but it means that she made a vow that she won't eat apples or she won't eat grapes, and he could annul it. And instead of annulling it, he confirms it. Now that shows that he hates her. So, Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. He has to give her a divorce and grant her a ksuva. Rabbi Yehuda, again, Rabbi Yehuda says we give a kohen a little bit more of a grace period. But Yisrael yoyim echad yekayim. If it was only for 1 day, for 24 hours, then they should stay together. Shnayim, if it's 2 days, Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. Or but kehenes, we give an extra day. Shnayim yekayim, shloisha Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. Hamadir es ishtay, again, this means she makes a neder, shalei tiskashet be'echad mikol aminim, that she won't use one of the perfumes. And he confirms it. So that again shows that he hates her. Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. He should divorce her and grant her the ksuva. Rabbi Yossi Aimer ba'aniyas, if she's a poor woman, shaloi nasan kitzva. Poor women a lot of times don't use perfume. So there it's only if she said forever. Ubashiris, if it's a wealthy woman, so then if it's for the duration of shloshim yom, of 30 days, and he confirmed it, he should give her a get and her ksuva. Again, she made a neder that she won't go to see her father, and he cruelly confirms it. So Amadre Sishtei Shalei Telech L'Beis Aviyah, that she won't go to see her father, which will of course cause her great distress. Bizman Shu Ima Be'ir, where they live together in the same city, so normally she would see him very often, Chodesh, a month. Ubizman Shu Be'ir Acheres, if they're living in another city, so another city she would visit for a Yom Tov. So Regel Echad Yekayim, for 1 Yom Tov, then they could stay. Shloisha, 3 Yomim Tovim, Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. He has to give her a divorce and a marriage settlement. So of course the Gemara asks, what about 2? You say 1, they should stay together. 3, they should get a divorce. What about 2? So he said it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. So 2, there should be a divorce if it's a Yisrael. If it's a Kohen, only if it's 3 Yomim Tovim. Hamadir es ishtoi shaloi telech lebeisa eva loy lebeisa mishta. She makes a vow that she won't go to a house of mourning or to a wedding, and he confirms it. Yaitzi v'yitin ksuva. That's cruelty, because if she won't go to a wedding, she won't have friends. And ay chavrusa ay misusa, either social life or death. And if she won't go to a house of mourning, then nobody will mourn her when she dies. Because he lacks before her normal social needs. However, but if he says he confirmed it because she's flirting at the wedding with other men, then Rashi, then it's allowed. Amalah, if she makes a neder and he says I'll annul it, Al Menashe Taimri Leplini Masha Amartli. If you tell so and so the stuff that you told me while we were intimate, or Masha Martilach, or what I told you, that's very disgraceful for her. Or if he tells her, if you act like an idiot, or you should take mamalo umara ashpa, you fill up water and you pour it in the dump, which makes her look like an idiot. Yaitziv yitin ksuva. So she doesn't have to do that. Rather, he has to give her a get and a marriage settlement. The The following women are divorced without a ksuva. Hoiveres al das Moshe b'Yehudis. If a woman goes against the laws of Moshe, or Yehudis means drabonans. Ve'ezui das Moshe. What does it mean if she goes against the laws of Moshe? If machilase she'ena ma'user, if she feeds him stuff that's not tithe, or mishamash nida, or she sleeps with him while she's a nida, or v'lei kaitzala challah, she doesn't take challah from the food, or v'neidera, she makes vows ve'ena mekayemes. We'll see in the Gemara that will cause his children to die. Ve'ezui das Yehudis, what are drabonans? Yoitza v'roisha peruf, she goes out with her hair uncovered. Now the Gemara will say that that's a deraisa. The Gemara will say this means if she goes out, not sneeze, even in the courtyard. The tava bashuk, or she spins in the marketplace where her elbows get uncovered. Or medaberesim koladim, or if she's free and flirts with the young men. If she curses his parents in his presence. Even if she's just innately immodest, and she solicits intimacy with him with a loud voice. What does it mean, a loud woman? When she solicits intimacy from her husband in the house, and her neighbors hear it, that's a reason for a divorce without a ksuva. If he's mekadesh a woman with the condition that she doesn't have pre-existing vows, and she has pre-existing vows, she doesn't need a get. Just she didn't fulfill the condition. It's not a kedushin. Konsistam, if he married her without stipulating, and she found pre-existing vows, so then Teitze, he has to give her a get, but shalei b'ksuva, he doesn't have to give her a marriage settlement. If he says you don't have any undisclosed blemishes, and he found undisclosed, and he found blemishes, then ain't a mekadeshes. There's no need for a get. Konsistam, if he married her without a stipulation, and found blemishes, he has to give her a get, teitze, but shaloi b'ksuva, she loses her marriage settlement. Kol amumim ha'poisim b'kahanim, all blemishes that disqualify a kohen from doing avodah in the base of English, poisim b'anoshim, disqualify her, that he could send her away without a marriage settlement. Now, Mishnah Ches talks about chazaka. I made a bracha already. If she had blemishes while she was living by her father, so there's a 12-month gap between the Erisin and the Nisuin. So there were blemishes while she was by her father, while she was engaged. Now, if it happened during the time of the engagement, so then she would be entitled to a marriage settlement, because she could say, look, nistakfa sadeu, your field became flooded. If she had it before they got engaged, then she wouldn't get a marriage settlement. So if she had blemishes while she's still in her father's home, the father, in order to collect the ksuva, would need to bring proof that it first, the blemishes first came after the engagement, and that therefore the chassan's field was flooded. Now the reason why the father has to bring the proof is because, first of all, he wants to get the ksuva, so therefore the ksuva is muzik by the husband. He wants to get the ksuva, but also because we say kan motzu kan hayu. Since the women were found in the father's house, we assume kan hayu, we assume that they were there from originally, even before she was married. But once she marries, the wedding was consummated, and now the blemishes are found, then then the husband has to prove that it was pre-existing blemishes. Why? Because again we say kan nimtzu kanoy was found in the husband's house. We say it occurred now. If he wants to say it was pre-existing, he would have to bring proof. Divrei Meir. The Chacham say, first of all, these are only things under our clothing. Something opened, the chassan saw it, he didn't say anything. That's a proof he accepted it. Even if it's under her clothing, if there's a bathhouse in the city, then he can't claim a mekach even for hidden blemishes. Why? Because since there's a bathhouse, he could have gotten his woman relatives to go check her out. That's the way it worked, that he would check her out with his relatives. A man that after they're married, he got blemishes, we don't force him to divorce her. That's only small blemishes. If the foot was amputated or he became blind, then if she can't live with him, she finds it too harsh, we force him to give a get with a ksuva. The following we force him to divorce her. Mukashchin, if he has boils all over his body, or bal polyphus, or he has a very bad smell, vamekametz, or if he works collecting manure, that's his work, so he has a stink about him, vametzaref nechashis, or he's a copper refiner, vabursi, or a tanner, all of these have a terrible smell. Bein shahoyubam ad shaloi nisu, or bein mishenisu no. This is true even if he was this before he married her, so she knew about it. Even though she stipulated that I'm marrying you, even though you have these professions, she could say, I thought I could tolerate it. I see I can't. The Chacham say no. If she knew about it beforehand, she has to live with it. Except if he's covered with boils, because when they're intimate, his skin falls away and it could put him into danger. Mimikasai, and puts him in danger, and therefore she could insist on a divorce. Now here's an interesting shayla. Reuven was married to Sarah. Reuven dies childless, and Sarah falls to Shimon. Now Reuven was a tanner, and Shimon, his brother, is a tanner. So he wants to be miyabbar. He said, look, you're already married to a tanner. So Ma'aseh b'tzidin, b'bursi echad, there was a tanner, Shemes, v'hayaloi ach bursi, and the brother, Shimon, is also a tanner. Amru Chacham, the Chacham say she could insist on chalitza. Yechayla yishetaymer, she could say, la'achicha yisi yechayla l'kabel, I was able to live with your brother because he was a superior man, so I looked away. But I cannot tolerate it with you. The Gemara now tells us that we learned in the Mishnah that he could grant that he could insist that he divorce her without a ksuva if she makes vows and doesn't fulfill them. Why? Because of the sin of not keeping vows, banim mesim, children die. Shenemar al titen es picha lachti es besarecha. Don't allow your mouth to hurt your flesh. And the pasuk continues, Lama yiktzayfa likim al kolecha Why should Hashem get angry at your voice? V'chibel es ma'isi yodecha, and attack your handiwork. What does it mean, your handiwork? Ezer in ma'isi yodav shel adam. What are the handiwork of people? Havayayim banav v'bnaisav. That's his sons and his daughters. So he causes the losses of his sons and daughters. Rav Nachman Amar Mehacha. Rav Nachman says from another pasuk, La'shav hikisi es b'nechem. Because of vain speaking, I attack your children. L'shav, al iskei shav, because the person does not honor their vows. Tanya, ha'yur meir aimer, hala yodeh be'ishtei shenederes ve'en mekayemes. If he knows that his wife makes vows and doesn't uphold them, yarzav yadirena, he should make vows to prohibit things to her. So the Gemara says, yadirena b'may misakenla. What would help if he makes vows? He should get her angry. Pkudei should tidar b'fanav, that he should make the vows in his presence, and then v'yafula, and annul them without her knowing it. So therefore, since she thinks she's already forbidden, she won't make the vows anymore. But really, they're annulled because he annulled them. Amrullah, they said that it's a nice trick. But if your wife is so irresponsible, ein adam darim nachash b'kfifa. A person cannot stay with a snake in the same basket. Tanya, if he knows that his wife doesn't remove challah, so there's an eitzah. When you eat, take challah before you eat. You can't do that. You can't live in the same house with a snake in the same basket with a woman that you can't trust. The one who teaches this lesson by the hafrashas challah, which it happens very often. You eat bread all the time, and he says that you could remove the challah and live with her. So then he'll agree that that he'll agree with the eitzah of getting her angry and having her make mendarim and annul it not in her presence. The one that uses it in the case of the vows are not that common. But food, he might forget and eat without taking challah, so therefore definitely divorce her. Das Yehudis, what is Das Yehudis Yoitza? What's a drabanan? If she goes out for Roisha Perua with hair uncovered. So the Gemara says, Roisha Perua daraisa? Going out with hair uncovered, that's biblical. Why? It says by the Isha Saita, or Faras Roisha Isha, that we uncover her head. That means a married woman has to have her head covered. V'taner Bey Rabbi Shmuel, Azhar l'Bnais Yisrael, it's a warning to Bnai Yisrael that they shouldn't go out with their hair uncovered. So the Gemara says yes. Daraisa, but biblically kalter shaperdami. She could throw a basket on her head, and that's enough. But das Yehudis afilu kalter nami asa. But das Yehudis, even a basket, since it's wicker and you could see through the wicker, it's also asa. Amar Rabasi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Kalta ein ba mishum prua rosh. A basket is not considered uncovered. Havi bar Reb Zera. Reb Zera wonders, when is it not considered uncovered? Ilaima b'shok. If it's in the market, if it's on the avenue, then we said das Yehudisi. It's rabbinical that you shouldn't go out with such a skimpy covering. Ve'ela b'chatzer, in the courtyard. In the courtyard, no woman will be allowed to continue living by her husband because the women in the courtyard don't cover their hair. Amar Abaye, same Rav Kahana, it means it means that going from one courtyard to another courtyard through the alleyway, which is open to the Rishus Harabim, where she can't go with her hair uncovered, she could go with the kalta, she could go with the basket. And now we learn a rather esoteric chok. Zakoi chuloke, fortunate is the portion of mandi yoda l'sadra shvache demare, one who knows to arrange the praises of his master, ba'asar de itzrach, in the place where it's necessary. Ad hocha, until the fourth bracha of atachonein, dveikusa, the attachment, ubirkaan, and the blessing, ukedusha, and the holiness, kachada ba'avohan, is one with the avos. As we know, that the first bracha, Magen Avram, is Keneged Avram. The second bracha of Mechayim Mesim is Keneged Yitzchak, and Atar Kodesh is Keneged Yaakov. The first bracha is the mid of Chesed. The second bracha is the mid of Gevura, Atar Gibar. And the third bracha of Atar Kodesh is the mid of Tiferes. That's the mid of Yaakov. Mikonu Lahala, from then onward, now we start the very important bracha of Atochayin. Now, of course, the bracha of Atochayin is where we ask Hashem for the knowledge to understand Torah. Rashi says in Masechtas Avodah Zarah, it's a good idea in that bracha to ask Hashem that we should be able to remember our learning. In Atochayin, we ask Hashem for the knowledge to be able to discern between good and evil. In Atochayin, we ask Hashem for the knowledge to know how to relate with our spouse. But here the Zohar tells us the first thing is, in Atochayin we ask that we should know how to attach ourselves to Hashem. Mikanu lahola kaimin she'eltin over usim. After the first three brachas, now we start the middle brachas, where we ask Hashem for our requests and our needs. Sherusa deboi barnosh lemishal, but that which a person has to start to ask is leminda b'milan demare, to know the matters of his Creator. Begin lemechazei teufta legabe, in order to show his desire for Hashem, v'lo isprish minei, that he shouldn't be separated from Hashem. Begin the boy barnosh lishtatfa b'kedusha d'shma kadisha ilah, because he wants to partner with the holiness of the celestial nature. The celestial name. So he's asking Hashem for the knowledge to be able to attach himself to Hashem, and l'is'atrabek, to be crowned with Hashem's name. The Iu Shma de Birchain v'Kiddushin, and this name, which is Mashpia, which influences blessings and holiness, which you're supposed to have in mind in the bracha of Atochayin, is the name Kuzu. Now this is interesting. Kuzu is the letters after Yud Kei Vav Kei. The letter that comes after Yud is Chav. The letter that comes after Hey is Vav. The letter that comes after Vav is Zayin. And the letter after Hey is Vav. So this is the name Kuzu. It's also Gematria 39, Chaf is 20, Vav is 6, 26, 7 is 26 plus 7 is 26, plus 7 is 33, and then Vav is 6 is 39. That's Gematria Tal. And that happens to be the Rosh Tevis of this bracha. Atochayin la'adam. So Aleph is 1, Ches is 8, that's 9, and Adam, Lamed is 39. So the Iu Shma, this is the name, the Birchan v'Kiddushin, that influences blessings and holiness, Kuzu, Raza de Shma, it's a secret. The Shma Kadisha Hashem, that emanates from the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Iyu Kaddish B'Kedusha, for it is invested with holiness. Be'ilu Asmin, and these letters, Apiko Mina, come out of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, because Hane Asmin Acharon. These are the letters after Yud Kei Vav Kei. Chibura Dahani, the Hani, the combination of Yud Kei Vav Kei and Kuzu is Chibura de Dechar Benukva, is like the mating of a male with a female. That's Kuchabarichu Ushchinte. Vahani Kadishin Ilain Rosa de Kedusha. This elevated holiness is a secret of Kedusha. So here, Rab Shimon Yochai is reminding us that before we ask Hashem in Ata Chainin for all the practical requests, that we shouldn't have senility, Rahman al-Islan, and we shouldn't start forgetting things, right? We're asking Him for Seichel. We ask Hashem that we should have the knowledge of how to attach ourselves with Him, to be Davik in the Eibishter. Ilu Asmin Acharonin, these letters of Kuzu, Ikron Tal, because as we said, Kuzu is B'Gematria 39, Tal HaShemayim, it's the dew of heaven. Raza de Chushbana de Asfin delay. This is the secret of the calculation of these letters. B'din dahacha l'sata, because here below is the Bechin of Malchus, that's the Shechina. Kaima kol milan b'chushbana. Remember we learned this in an earlier Zohar that quoted the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Einecha breichais b'cheshbain, that the Midah of Malchus, its streams come b'cheshbon. So, kaimin kol milan b'chushbana, v'lo chushbana, normally we said that counting is not a good thing. But v'lo chushbana, but this kind of cheshbon is important, ela l'siyara, for the moon. The moon is the feminine, the moon is Malchus. Or begin kach, and because of this, boy liskashra b'kedusha damari, we need to tie ourselves to the holiness of our Creator. V'lo yisparish bar noshmine, we shouldn't be separate from it. V'kad shol sherusa d'sholten l'minda l'mare, when we start by asking that we should know our Creator and be able to be attached to Him, like it says, Atem adveikim b'Hashem Elokeichem chayim kulchem hayayim. La'arza d'tei uvtei l'gabei, that we have desire for Him. Mikana l'hala, then afterwards yispareish zir, we could separate little by little, v'yishul she'el toy, and ask our requests, our secular, our mundane requests, ma'de itzrich l'shala. V'shkol she'el toy yahain, and we will get all requests, l'basa d'yisada sidur da d'karma, after we do with the proper order, first the Avos HaKadoshim, the Chesed, the Gvura, the Tiferes, and then to be mistabik with Hashem. Also, he says another point. He says we shouldn't tell Hashem, it's me, I deserve it. That we shouldn't say. We shouldn't tell Hashem, what I do, I deserve it. No. Kigavnada, in this way, kol she'el toy yeho b'sachanunin uva'usin l'kamei marei. It should be with supplication and begging before the Creator. V'lo yatztikar me'minei. We shouldn't say, well, I deserve it. Zakor chuloke, fortune is the portion, man diyodel l'sadra sidur edah, who knows is to arrange it this way, l'mahach ba'orech meisher, to go in the proper way, k'dekachazi, which is correct. Kigavna, in a way, is chada esha b'maya, that fire is gevura. Gevura synthesizes with water, which is chesed, or maya be'esha, and chesed with gevura. Darim mitzafim b'darim, that's also chesed and gevura. Mizrach b'mariv, Mizrach east is the midah of Tiferes, while Ma'ariv is the midah of Malchus, so Ma'ariv b'Mizrach, Malchus with Tiferes. Hachin nami iskasher kulo kechada, all of it is tied as one. B'yechuda ishtalam dabeda, and we have then a perfect completion, one with the other. B'kol inan, the Yadon l'sadra tzlois and kidikayas that know how to arrange their prayers in a proper way. L'iskalala hani heichalan ilan be'ilan, to unite all these celestial chambers, u'iskashra dabeda, and to tie one with another. Hai barnash iskasher behu, then this person also gets tied with them. B'karavle, and it brings him l'iskalala behu, to unite with them. She'el to shoel, then he asks his requests, v'yavle, and they are granted. Zakor chuloke b'hai alma, fortunate is his portion in this world, uba alma da'asi, and in the next world. Now the Divrei Musa here was very scary. Amar Rabbi Seinu Zichron Livracha, our rabbis of blessed memory have taught us, Ki dvar Hashem baza, if a person disgraces the word of Hashem, he will be cut off. So what does it mean to disgrace the word of Hashem? Reb Nechemia Omer kol zeh kol mi she'ef shaloi lasik b'Torah. He could learn Torah, ve'eino Isaac, but he decides, he's more of a movie man. He's not learning Torah. So that means that he's makshiv the movie more than the Torah. That's Dvar Hashem Baza. V'amarav kol ha'perish midivrei Torah, whoever separates from Torah, Neufel began and falls into hell. U'machilon lo gachali resamim, and they feed him coals of broom. Coals of broom last very long. Shenemar hakoitfin maluach alei siach. If a person cuts away from that which is lachluchas, that which is moist, Torah which is moist, alei siach, for idle chatter, then the pasuk finishes, v'shayresh risamim lachman. The root of coals of broom will be his bread. Our rabbis of blessed memory taught us, hamafana libay levatala, if a person turns his heart to idleness, he forfeits his life. Shenema raki shama l'cho shmor nafshecha ma'od, and the pasuk says, "Pen yasuru milavavcha." If you turn away your heart, kol yemei chayecha, that's very dangerous. When we're judged after 120, ain't chilas dinay shel adam, a person's first judgment is ella al divrei Torah, is only about learning. Shenema poiter mayim, the way he acquits himself about water, and we know ein mayim ela Torah, hay kol samei l'chula mayim. Just like water comes from heaven, Torah came from heaven. Just like water quenches the thirst of the body, Torah quenches the thirst of the soul. Just like water causes growth, Torah causes growth. Just like water flows from high to low, so also Torah is found by the humble. So paiter mayim, the way you acquit yourself about water, about Torah, reishis medayin, is the first thing we're judged about. And it says, you should meditate in it day and night. Then your way will prosper, then you'll be wise. And every moment and hour and day, that he neglects from Torah, something that's missing, which lo yuchal limanis, which he can never get back. Any time that he could have learned Torah, and he doesn't, is something that he can never recover. And finally, we continue the Rambam of Hilchos Tefillah. Yom Tov shechal yes be'echad b'Shabbos. If Yom Tov falls out on Sunday, so by Mariv you have to say Havdalah. Now, of course, you can't say Atachayim because it's Yom Tov Dikedavening. So we know we insert Vatoidienu. So mispal bebracha revius balayla, you say in the fourth bracha in the night of Yom Tov, vatoidienu mishpatei tzidkecha, you let us know the laws of your righteousness. V'talamdenu, you taught us la'asais chukei ritzanecha, the statutes of your desire. V'atitein lanu Hashem Elokeinu kedushas Shabbos, you gave us the holiness of Shabbos, the honor of the Moed, v'chagigas regel, the festivities of the festival. Ben kedushas Shabbos and kedushas Yom Tov ivdalta, between the holiness of Shabbos and the holiness of Yom Tov you separated. Of course, Shabbos we're not allowed to cook, on Yom Tov we're allowed to cook, etc. Ves Yom HaShvi Mesheshes Yimei HaMaaseh K'dashta, and the seventh day from the 6 other days of the week you sanctified. V'atitein lanu Hashem Elokeinu ma'adim l'simcha, you gave us festivals for joy, chagim uzmanim l'sasan, for gladness. Ubamatzai Shabbos, ubamatzai Yom Tov shel kol hashana, and on Matzah Shabbos and Matzah Yom Tov on the rest of the year on a regular day, mavdil ba'atachainen, we say atachanan tanu in atachainen, and this is so even though we're also going to say afterwards havdalah ala kais, afal pi shum havdalah ala kais. B'Chanukah b'Purim, on Chanukah and Purim, Moisifim Boida ala Nisim, we add in the bracha of Moedim, we add ala Nisim before we say the end of Atov Shimcha L'chana Elohai Dais. Shabbos shechal yos b'Chanukah, Shabbos that falls out on Chanukah, masker ala Nisim b'Musaf. That's a big chiddush. We say ala Nisim even in Musaf. K'moishe masker b'shar tefillas, like we mentioned in the rest of the tefillas of Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. We want to thank you for joining us and wish you a very wonderful day.